Okay, hi everyone. So we have a debate today, and let me make sure I show the lesson plan. And that's not the lesson plan; it's something else. And stop share, and let me find that lesson plan. Where's the lesson plan? I think this is the lesson plan. It's not what I want. And I have a lot of different things open up here. Okay, so we have, this is the debate topic today. To South Koreans, the Republic of Korea will face increasing pressure to choose between US or China as the primary focus of its international trade cooperation. And so let me also then go to the notes for this week, and let me open those notes. The notes are open, but I have to make sure that I can share them with you. And I think that's it here. And so to get us in the right mindset for this, maybe let's look at something that's important in the present, and by looking at one of the funny, interesting actions of the Trump administration that will quickly be forgotten, and that is to try to pull the or threaten to pull the U.S. out of Korea if the South Korean government doesn't pay more money to cover the costs of those Korean soldiers. So this is from a year ago, and Donald Trump, in his Make America Great Again, American First political strategy, demanded that South Korea pay 5 times more money than it typically pays the United States for the cost of American troop deployments in South Korea. That the Trump administration reportedly is demanding that Seoul, a key ally, contribute around $5 billion for the coming year to cover the cost of roughly 28,500 US troops based in South Korea. That's more than 5 times what South Korea agreed to contribute earlier this year, and Seoul is pushing back hard. South Korean US officials would not confirm the amount to national public radio. And of course, this is happening in November of last year, and soon, of course, the world will become preoccupied with the pandemic that was already circulating in China at this time. The virus was circulating in the fall, late fall, and then this was frozen as an issue. And then, of course, while the U.S. has continued to deal with the pandemic, the United States went full into its presidential election campaign. So to go on here, it says, Seoul says the subject of removing forces has not come up in negotiations, and a law passed last year by the U.S. Congress prevents the president from reducing troop strength in South Korea without a determination by the Secretary of Defense that such a move is America's national security interest. So Donald Trump is still in office until January 20th, so a little less than 2 months. Is he likely to announce the withdrawal of U.S. forces from South Korea? Probably not. He might do something elsewhere in terms of U.S. policy towards Iran, for example. But who knows what Donald Trump will do? He's done many surprising things in the past. I don't want to cover the entire article here, but it goes on. It says the basing of U.S. forces abroad, meanwhile, gives Washington the ability to project power around the globe to secure commercial interests worth hundreds of billions of dollars. So this article highlights how U.S. military deployments in Asia and elsewhere also promotes America's economic interests. Again, showing how bureaucratic, military, and economic vested interests are closely tied together, are very much closely tied together in terms of the world's post-World War II international political economy, right? And so roughly a third of US trade comes out of Northeast Asia, notes Bruce Bennett, a defense analyst at the RAND Corporation, a US government-funded think tank. That's one of these policy analysis organizations. Think tank is a slang term, a metaphor that we now use all the time. This one is a US-funded, government-funded think tank, the RAND Corporation, that's associated with the US Air Force in particular. If there were a conflict in Korea, that trade would be severely disrupted. Allies, Bennett notes, allow the US to justify its projection of power for its own aims. So for American aims, they send troops, America, they send troops to a variety of places in the world that provide stability and give us an ability to say we have a coalition doing these things, he says. And it's not just US imperialism when we're operating overseas. So the US can claim it has allied support whenever the US involves itself, say, in regard to North Korea or Taiwan or the Middle East. He adds that increasing US demands could prompt Seoul to cancel purchases of F-35 warplanes or other hardware, leading to the loss of American jobs. Park argues, this person argues that both the US and South Korea have benefited from their alliance, but if the US pulled out its troops from South Korea, it would leave South Korea alone to face its neighbor to the north. For the US, this might be acceptable, but for South Koreans, he said, it would be a life or death situation. Now, keep in mind, this is for an American audience, this report. This appeared in the US media. And it goes on and says here, while the Trump administration is pressuring Seoul to reach a deal this year, any agreement must still be ratified by South Korean lawmakers. Those lawmakers will be up for re-election next April, so that's been done. They've had the elections. And while polls show that most South Koreans want US troops to stay, a majority opposes a sharp increase in Seoul's contribution. So my question to you is, please respond to the following statement. A reunified Korea, a reunified North and South Korea into one Korean state will no longer be a US close ally, or it will no longer be a Chinese close ally. It will be neutral. A reunified Korea will be a neutral Korea. So what's your position on this? And let me go to the polling and ask you to vote on this. Please vote on whether or not, on your view about whether or not a reunified Korea will be a neutral Korea. $40 seconds left.
Sugar.
20 seconds. $10 seconds. Okay, so most of you disagree quite strongly. I mean, 8 disagree. Let me see, share results. So you can see 8 disagree and 2 agree, and 1 is neutral and cannot decide. So that implies that you think that Korea's destiny, the destiny of the Korean nation, is going to depend upon one or the other of the superpowers, United States or China, the so-called superpowers, right? United States or China, that either China or United States will be allies of a unified Korea. And so who do you think will be that ally? Will that ally on a reunified Korea most likely be US, or will it be most likely China? Will it be US or most likely China? Since most of you think that a reunified Korea will be allied with somebody, a close ally of the US or China, presumably not Moscow and not Tokyo, but Beijing or Washington. Can you please explain your answer? So let us break up into breakout rooms, and let's have 3 people, 3 groups, and the third person in a group will be the chair. And that third person is in group 1, Lee Sang-moon, Laura Steyert, and Sung Jun Moon. So please come up with a response by these 3 groups as to why you think a reunified Korea will be allied either with Beijing or Washington, but not neutral. Why is that the case? So, and Lee Sang-moon, please speak for your group. Laura, please speak for your group. And Sung Jun, please speak for your group. And so the groups are open. Lee Sang-moon, you need to join if you're going to be in charge of the group. Okay. Laura, who's in charge here? No, Lee Sang-moon. Okay, Lee Sang-moon. So are you taking charge, Lee Sang-moon?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, good.
So I guess